Hey, welcome to my November 2022 income report. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down where I made a whole bunch of money, where I spent a whole bunch of money, and then what I'm going to be doing with that money. If you're returning from a previous income report, thanks for watching this one. Hopefully you learned something. And if you're new, this channel is called DoubleCommaDreams, where we work on building million-dollar brands. And by we, I mean me and my business friend, Nico. Which, by the way, if you haven't watched any of his income reports, he's not as far in his journey as I am. So if you're new to this stuff, you're probably going to learn a lot more by watching his videos. I highly encourage you to go watch his income reports, as I think he's putting a new one out today as well. Just a quick recap, this channel is growing, it's not monetized, we're not making any money with this channel yet, but you can see that we have raked in around 3,000 views, 293 watch hours, and 171 new subscribers, which if you look down here, these are all up from last month, and that's probably because we've published more videos. Now that we've got the intro out of the way, let's go into the outline of this video. First, I'm going to be talking about Black Friday. Then I'm going to be outlining site 1, 2, and 3. Yes, I've added a new site to this portfolio. I'll also be talking about my 2 YouTube channels. Then we'll be going over the total income and expenses for this month. And then I'm going to be comparing last month's goals to this month's goals. So let's get started. First off, we need to talk about Black Friday. I made a ton of money on Black Friday. As you can see here, specifically on Black Friday, I made almost 80 grand. Now, this was actually a new product launch where it started out in 2 weeks. The very first week, I made 5 YouTube videos, and in each one of those videos, I said, yo, there's a new product coming out, go subscribe to my email list. And then the next week was actually the launch week, and what I did is I made 4 YouTube videos, and what I said was, if you're interested in this product, here's where you can buy it. And then during that same week, I also sent out 10 emails to my email list, which included the people that signed up from the previous week's YouTube videos, and I basically told them in more or less words, go here if you want to buy this product. Well, that sales page that I led them to resulted in a $29,000 RPM. That means for every 1,000 people that I got to go to that page, I made 29 grand. Or in other words, every person that I got to click that link, I made $29. And that's the highest RPM I've ever seen. This also means that I hit my $250,000 sales goal. Kind of. I'll explain that in a minute. So let's go through the numbers that I earned on Black Friday through this new product launch. And if you're curious, I'm actually going to be launching a case study soon about all this stuff that I've learned, the lessons I've learned, the mistakes I made, the conversion rate of the sales page, what I would do different. And so if you're interested in that, I highly encourage you to click the subscribe button and click the bell icon so when I post that video, you can see it. I would really appreciate it. So let's go through here. There was a bunch of people that signed up to this new product. It was around $500, although I did give coupons for people that were previous members. You can see here my email list resulted in 214 new members, which resulted in $104,000. From YouTube, it resulted in 170 new members, which resulted in 82 grand. Now, next on this list, we have previous members, which these are people that got a coupon because they've purchased something that I've sold before. In fact, that coupon was worth $200, so they were able to get it for $300. And this one is hard to track if they're from email or from YouTube because they actually have to email in, and I didn't really want to ask them how they learned about it, so I put this in its own category, and that earned $17,500. Finally, on Cyber Monday, I dropped it down from $500, I increased the price to $600, and I split it up among 6 monthly payments, so basically $100 each month, and that resulted in $6,719 of new monthly payments. Now, in theory, if all of those people continue their payments for 6 months, that led to 40 grand in extra revenue generated this month. Now, technically, I'll get that in future months, but I'm going to kind of calculate it in just to see what this launch equates to. And lastly, there was an alternative payment method to be able to purchase this product, and that resulted in $22,000. So when we add all these numbers up for the money collected this month, it's $233,461 from this month's launch, or rather November's launch. However, if we add in the extra sales that we generated from the monthly plan, the lifetime revenue generated from this launch is $267,000.56. And that's why on the previous slide I said I kinda hit my $250,000 goal, because technically this month I didn't make it, but in total payments I will make it. So again, if you're really interested in like behind the scenes and how I set this up and all the numbers and stuff, I highly encourage you to click the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you can see my case study video where I will share all of the numbers and things that I learned from this launch. Next up, let's dig into website number 1. So website number 1 I've had for a long time, probably 4, 5, maybe 6 years. So this has been a long time coming. I've spent a lot of money on this blog, and a lot of my own time editing articles. You can see here, in the month of November, I made $11,409.28. And that actually beats last month of $10,800. But I think that was kind of due to Black Friday, which is the next thing I want to talk about. So usually on Black Friday, the week of Black Friday, RPMs increase. That means every time someone comes to your page, you make more money from a single person compared to if it wasn't the week of Black Friday. And let me show you this. So if you can see on my screen here, this dashed line, this is actually the RPM, or the amount of money that you make from one person or 1,000 people. You can see as November goes along, this dashed line, this was last year, it definitely increases. And then as we get towards Black Friday, it really spikes. You can see that it goes up here. Boom, there's a huge day, at least $39 RPM day right here. And then it starts going down a little bit. And that was last year. And that's kind of what I was expecting this year. I was like, I'm going to make a ton of money from this blog this year if that happens again. However, you can see the dotted line here, the dotted and solid line here. This was this last month. This was November. You can see once we hit around November 10th, there's a huge dip. It's like, I started getting a little sad. I'm like, I'm not going to make as much this Black Friday because it starts going down. And you can see it just kind of straight lines there for a little bit and stays low. Like it's literally lower than what I normally was getting. And then Black Friday hits, or rather Thanksgiving hits, and it literally starts dropping. And my heart just sinks. I'm like, oh, this is going to be bad. When January hits, RPMs are going to fall through the floor. And then the day after Black Friday, which I think was the 26th, it pops back up and goes back to where it was. So this was really weird. I don't know what caused this. Maybe advertisers just have a little less money to spend on Black Friday. And personally, I was expecting this to be in line with last year's, if not even a little higher, because I started off a little higher than last year. So this was a little sad to see, but it was interesting to see that it at least came back up to where it was before. I've also talked to a few other people where this happened, so I know I'm not an outlier. This is something that's happened among a few other people. And that's also why I really appreciate Twitter, because you can just tweet something and say, hey, is this normal? And then other people will share their comments. By the way, if you want to follow me, my Twitter account I think is 6digit niche. I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested. All right, let's go on to the analytics of this website. So I got around 460,000 page views, which is definitely a drop from last month, and I think even a drop from the month before. So I'm not really sure what caused this, but I will say I didn't put as much effort into website 1 this month. You can see that I added 16 new posts, which brings us up to 648 total posts. Technically, I did not write those 16 posts, a writer did, and that's where we go into the expenses section. So I spent $2,876 basically hiring a writer, and they're technically also an editor, to create new articles for me. I basically give them keywords, and they give me articles, and it works out great. You can see, on average, this works out to around $180 an article. And if you're starting out, that sounds like a ton of money to produce an article. And you'd definitely be right. I have trained this writer how to create stellar articles. So these articles that this writer is creating are amazing articles. They rank within a month. So don't get intimidated by that. So that wraps up website 1. It worked out pretty well. I ended up making around 11.5 grand, and I spent around 2.5 grand on content. So I'm pretty happy with how that website ended up. Now let's talk about website number 2, and website number 2 is really new. You can see here that I personally earned around $110 from this website. You can see this is the total earnings. Actually, this is the total earnings, and then this is the EPMV. And what I really like about this website is that, I guess I haven't been on Ezoic that long, but the EPMV is rising. I would love to see this number go up to at least 20. It's in the pet niche, so I would like to see it around 20, and then also, eventually I can monetize with Amazon affiliates. But I'm interested in raising this website's DR right now. I'm not interested in getting affiliate sales. I want a bunch of content, really good content out there that starts getting links and building that topical authority before I start going into Amazon affiliates. So right now it's just monetized with Ezoic. Let's go into the analytics of this website. You can see I've got a bunch of stuff here. Basically, I didn't add any new posts to this website. It's just been sitting for around a month now. And this is the analytics for like the last maybe 2.5 months, October and November. If you haven't seen my previous income report about this website, basically what I did was I bought a website and then I redirected it to a new domain that I bought. And that's what this is right here. This is the new primary domain. And the reason I redirected it is because this domain that I bought it for like $2,500, I think, and it's very brandable. So this domain, this is like very brandable. It's a much better domain than whatever this was. And then around here, I bought another website. So I bought another website and I redirected it to that second primary domain. So Now there's basically like, there's 3 domains here. One is one that I purchased, one is a website that I purchased, and another is another website that I purchased. And basically what I did was I took both of these websites that I purchased and pointed them to this new primary domain that's very brandable. And you can see here, as soon as I 301 redirected it to the new domain, it really dropped in traffic and it started going up. I was like really scared. I was like, I probably shouldn't have 301 redirected this. But it started going up and it's still going up. And then I basically 301 redirected the other website that I bought and it immediately spiked, and traffic has been like doing very well since then. I really can't complain with how this is going out. If you're curious, November page views was almost 9,000, and the average session duration definitely could have been better, but it's around 30 seconds. And that's not something I like to see. I like to see that at least a minute. If we go back to website 1, you can see that it's healthy at 1:31, and the bounce rate is also lower. However, in this pet niche website, the bounce rate is pretty high at 93%. Now let's go on to something I thought would be interesting to show you. With all these 301 redirects, the in Search Console looks really good. So it looks like this website is just booming, like it's just doing amazing. And what you can actually see is that there's like basically a 301 redirect here, and then you can see that there's like another 301 redirect here, and that is just like, it just takes time for those to like kind of sift through and filter and settle. And what that looks like on the Search Console is that this website is just booming. It's just like outperforming all my other websites in terms of growth. So how much money did I spend on this second website to make $110? Technically, I spent no money this month. I spent $0 on this website in November. I just wanted to let it sit and see how it performed. Although I will say, hands-off publishing, I've spent like $4,000. This was a couple months ago. I gave them $4,000 to basically create 100 new articles. And kind of the sad thing is that they're finally getting around to it. Like, I think there are like 70 or 80 total articles created so far. Eventually, when these articles are created, I'll be able to add them to the site, and that will like really update how much. It'll go from 350 basically to 450, and that'll be like a huge thing that I'll probably see in the Search Console. And lastly, the total expenses for this website, how much I've spent on this website overall, is around $21,000. And that's between buying like the first website, the second website, the domain, extra content. I think I bought some images. Putting all that together, I spent around $21,000 on this website. Now, how much have I earned in the last 12 months? So TTM stands for trailing 12 months. In the last 12 months, all from Ezoic, I've earned almost $1,000 from this website, which if you take how much I've earned in the last 12 months, and then you divide it by how much I've totally spent on this website, you get around 4.76%, which is a little lower than I'd like it to see. I'd really like it to be at least 6 or 7% so that it is beating the market, so that this is a better investment than just putting my money in the stock market. But I think we'll get there, especially when these extra 100 articles get added to the website. So let's move on and talk about website 3. So I haven't really talked about website 3 that much. It is 8 months old, so it's still kind of a baby, like it's still growing. It has 107 posts, and I've spent $13,592 creating those 107 posts. So there's a funny story with this one. So the story with this one is that once I had around 100 posts, I applied for Ezoic. I got around to it. I was like, you know, it's finally time. I'm not getting too many page views, but I would like to put Ezoic on it just to kind of start training that algorithm. And if you don't know, that's how Ezoic works. Usually it takes like 2 to 6 weeks for Ezoic to like really peak on how much you're making. So I was like, I might as well start that training data early. And so I applied for Ezoic. And when I did that, 2 weeks went by and then they denied me. And the really cool thing that I liked was they actually told me, they were like, we took a look at your site. This is probably why you were denied. And then I fixed that, and then I was approved for Ezoic. And so I'm really happy with that. Another thing about website 3 is that I actually recently, like probably 2 weeks ago, I bought a whole bunch of backlinks and sent them to this website. And because of that, I'm able to do a case study. So all these backlinks I bought, I actually spent like between $5,000 and $10,000. I don't remember the exact number. I tried to aim for $10,000, but I ended up spending that much money on backlinks just to see if the links were worthy or not, to see if they worked, if they didn't work, if they were really spammy, if they were like authority links. I wanted to have a process for how I build backlinks. And so I spent basically $10,000 on growing these backlinks to test it to website 3 and to see if it altered the traffic. And if you're interested in that case study, where basically I go through and I say, hey, I bought backlinks from here, this is how it turned out. Bought backlinks from here, this is how it turned out. You can click the subscribe button and the bell icon, and you'll also be able to see that case study. So overall, website 3, a lot of money down the hole right now. I am not making any money with it because Ezoic, like I literally just got approved for it. So it'll be really interesting to see how this website performs in the next year. Next up, let's talk about some YouTube channels. So this YouTube channel number 1 is one that I've actually been working on for 6 years and 8 months, almost 7 years. It has over 2 million subscribers and almost 400 videos. And the really interesting thing about this is that this YouTube channel is now an asset that just makes me money pretty much. So you can see here I've published 0 videos this month. I haven't made any videos, but it's earned me a little over $3,000. I'm happy with that. I haven't really done too many videos on this channel this year at all. In fact, probably half of them were sponsored videos where I made a couple $1,000 per sponsorship. Could I grow this channel? I probably could. Would it be worth it? I think some of the other projects I'm working on would have a higher ROI. Speaking of that, let's talk about YouTube channel number 2. So this YouTube channel actually isn't as old as the other one. It's a little newer. It's around 1 year and 8 months old. It has around 800,000 subscribers, and I've published around 133 videos on it. And something that's interesting about this is that it's in a different niche, it's a different topic, and because of that, it got less views, but it made more money. So this is actually the YouTube channel that led to the Black Friday, whole bunch of money that I made. You can see here I published 2 videos, 1 video, 2 more videos, 2 more videos. Technically, I published 9 videos, but 2 of those were like kind of time sensitive, so I ended up removing them. So there's only 7 videos that it shows that I published, even though I technically published 9. And just to compare these really quick, this one got 670,000 views, and this one got 744,000 views. While this one only made a little over 3,000, and this one made a little over 5,000. So your niche really matters in the profit potential of a project that you're working on. So when we add up the Black Friday deal, website 1, 2, and 3, and YouTube channel 1, 2, and 3, what is the total amount that we end up with? It's almost $300,000. I was really close. I'm not going to be upset about it because it's still $294,000. But this is the total number that I made in November. If we break that down, you can see 8,540 of it was YouTube, and this is both the channels. Mediavine was $11,409, and this was just site number 1. Ezoic was $110, which was site number 2. And then Teachable, which is where I sold the product that I basically launched on Black Friday, generated $243,940. And then this $536 is also from another Teachable setup that I have on YouTube channel number 1. So technically, both of these YouTube channels sell products. And if I were to say something about this, I would say that YouTube channel number 1 is like all automated. It's like the ad revenue just comes in, I don't post anything. The product sales that I get from it, all automated, I don't make anything. And to be quite honest, that's kind of my goal with this stuff. I want to build systems and processes to create these assets that bring in money, and on the other side of that, they're actually helping people. Like these digital products people love, the YouTube videos that I create, they're actually helping people. If I can build a bunch of these assets, then one day I'll be able to, I don't know if I will retire, but I'll be able to have a very sustainable living and essentially have the freedom to do whatever I want. Now, technically, I kind of already have that. However, I'm kind of a scarce, risk-averse person. So even though I made almost $300,000 this month, I'm still a little worried that, where's that money going to go? Is it going to be here in a year? And I'm still interested in growing all of these assets. So the last episode, I said, would you want to see a breakdown of the expenses of what I spent my money on last month? And a bunch of people commented and said yes. So I'm actually going to break down and show you what I spent money on. The first, probably most useful thing that I spent money on was an assistant. And I really don't want to call her an assistant because she literally does half the business. So I've trained her how to do processes and how to answer emails and stuff, and she makes my life so much easier. I pay her around $1,000, actually I pay her exactly $1,000 a week, which ends up being around $4,000 a month, and then the extra $200 is Upwork fees. So in this case, $4,200 was how much I spent on her. Backlinks, like I said, I spent a couple $1,000s on backlinks. This is not a recurring expense. This is something that I did want to do one time and see how it works. And if it works well, then I'll go ahead and make it a recurring expense. Next, I spent around $918 on video costs, and that was to help me create those videos for the Black Friday launch. Next, I spent $2,800 on writing, and this is to hire that one writer that worked on website number 1. I spent almost $1,300 on training, and I sell products that help people do better. Whatever they're wanting to do, I help them achieve their goals, and I would think that it would be weird if I didn't do the same thing. So I spend a lot of money on training and consulting, and I love spending money on that because I know I'm probably going to make at least 2 or 3, 5, 10, 100 times back whatever I spend. And so in this case, what I spent it on was actually a business setup thing that taught me how to create an S Corp And it also teaches me how to do like a multi-member LLC, which is something I'm interested in creating in the next couple months. But spending this money I think was well worth it because it answered a bunch of my questions. On some of my YouTube channels, I'm actually dubbing them over to other languages, and I spent $420 on that. Now, what I will say is that's not really a profitable thing. I probably should cut that off, and I can explain that in another video. Website and software, I spent a whopping 11 grand on website and software stuff, and I have a bunch of stuff listed out here that it makes up the majority of it. I didn't share everything because if I shared everything, you could probably figure out what my niche was. But you can see $99 for Ahrefs, $73 for Zapier, $480 for StreamYard, which is actually how we produce the podcast episodes for DoubleCommaDreams, and I bought the yearly subscription. SERPRobot, I spent $600 on SERPRobot because I looked at my expenses and I was like, I'm paying $20 every month for this. I have to go through, download the invoice, put it into my tax software, and it was just a hassle. So I was like, I just need to buy the year thing, maybe get a discount, and then make it much easier on my life. And I actually did the same thing where like, I basically bought a year version. I did the same thing with StreamYard. I did it with SERPRobot. I did it with Cloudflare. I did it with Teachable twice. And I probably should do it with ConvertKit, but I'm not sure if my ConvertKit is going to like explode or like die. So I'm not sold on buying the year thing of ConvertKit because if I change plans a whole bunch, that could be really expensive in the future or something. So I also bought something called Hurry Timer, which is just a plugin. I spent $2,400 on a domain. And that specific domain is the domain that I wanted to use to be able to create the Black Friday product. So the Black Friday product that I created, it had a name. And that name, when you type it in thename.com, that name was for sale. So I bought it, and it cost $2,400 to buy that. ConvertKit, which is like an email marketing service, $380 because I have around 50,000 people on that list. You can see a Teachable, $3 grand. This is for the business version of the product that I sold for Black Friday. And then this other Teachable is actually for my other YouTube channel, and it's not necessarily like I don't need a whole bunch of stuff with it, so I just bought the yearly plan for $948. This Google domains down here, this is actually really interesting. So I hate having to go through every time a Google domain renews. It's like, you renewed, here's $12 that you spent, and I have to download that and put it in my tax thing, just like I said with the StreamYard and the SERPRobot thing. It's like every month I have to go through and organize these, put it in an Excel spreadsheet and stuff, and it just got such a hassle. I was like, why don't I just renew these websites for like 5 years so I don't have to do this anymore? That's exactly what I did. It was like, let's see, it was $60. It was like 50 websites that are renewed, or 50 domains that are renewed for like 5 or 6 years. So it ended up being $3,000. Took a bunch of hassle out of my life. And pretty much I did the same thing with Cloudflare. I just signed up for their yearly subscription. And then lastly, we got image creation down here, which most of this was for the sales page and for the like Black Friday launch. This isn't something that's really recurring. And I will, 3 grand isn't bad on making almost $300,000. So I can't complain about this. Overall, this month I spent around $31,000. So let's go to the next slide where I talk about the profit and take home. So if you're new to stuff like this, you really need to know that you do pay taxes on your income. So the total income, this is how much money I made in November. Basically $295,000. Now I spent $31,000, and if you take the income and you subtract the expenses from it, you get $263,901.84. And so that's my business profit. Now that's not when I take home. That's not what I actually take home and can spend. After I pay taxes on that, which includes self-employment tax, federal income tax, and state tax, then I'm left with $171,000. So assuming that I don't spend this money on other business expenses, this is the money that I have earned this month that I can actually spend on personal stuff. And I just want to take a short minute and say that this is a whopping number. This is a huge number. This is a huge number. This is a massive number. This is the most money I have ever made in a single month, by a pretty large margin actually, almost 300 grand. Like, it's almost surreal to me that if you would have told me like 6 or 7 years ago when I started my very first YouTube channel that there would be a day in the future before the decade ends that I would make almost $300,000 in a month, I probably would not have believed it. This number is crazy to me. In fact, when I think about it, I don't know what I'm going to do with this money. Like, I'll probably invest some of it back into this business, and then I'll probably just put it into I'm obviously maxing out retirement accounts, but those are already maxed out, so I'll probably just put it into like a brokerage account or something. So this number is just, I just want to take a minute and be like, if you're looking at this and you're saying that's a huge number, I am also looking at this and going, that's a huge number. I almost don't believe it. Like, it hit my bank account this morning, and it's just so surreal to see triple digits in there. It's just mind-blowing. So now that we've covered that, let's go over last month's goals. And I thought this would be a cool feature to add where I look at last month's goals and see if I completed them. So site 1, hire out 100 keywords. And you can see that this is like striked through, like there's a line through it. And that's technically because I did it in October, even though it was November's goals. And so, yes, this is done. They're just still writing the 100 keywords. So it's going to take a little minute. For site 3, my goal last month was to pay for backlinks, which I definitely did. You can see here I spent around $7,000 on backlinks. And then I'm going to when those backlinks all come in and I give it a little bit of time for Google to see them and stuff and change the traffic maybe, then I can make a decision on if those backlinks are worth continuing or not. Another goal was $250,000 bootcamp launch, which technically I kind of hit, not really. From Teachable, I made $243,000. And then if we go back to the Black Friday statistics, the lifetime revenue generated with the monthly plan is $267,000. So I basically hit that, kind of, not really. It really matters how you look at it. And then also my last goal here was to lose 5 pounds by continuing to track food intake and cardio. And we went on a week vacation in November to visit some family. It was literally the week of Black Friday, the week of Thanksgiving. And I did not hit this goal. I did not lose weight. I did not gain weight, but I also didn't lose weight. And so I'm going to take that into account next month, in December. So let's go ahead and talk about the lessons that I learned last month. And this could probably be like a whole 30-minute hour spiel, but I'm going to wrap them up really quick. So I learned a bunch of stuff from Black Friday, from making this money from Black Friday. And so I'm probably going to put a lot of these lessons that I learned into the case study, but to sum them up, it's worth getting help. So if I spent $5,000 on someone to help work on the sales page, help create sales videos, images, that money was well worth it. Another thing is that I realized is that in terms of Black Friday, the goal isn't to make sales. The goal is to get people to the sales page. So I worked really hard on this sales page, and what I should have done is just let the sales page do its work and focused on getting people to the sales page, which then converted. As you saw, it was $29,000 RPM, so basically every person I got there was $29. And so my goal should have been just to get more people there. And so if I could go back, I would make more YouTube videos, I would probably send more emails, and I'd probably think a little bit about affiliate marketing, getting other people to send people to my sales page. And lastly, I think I did an okay job with this, but I definitely could have done it better. And so the 2 months before I actually launched this product, I should have been a little bit more hypey about it. There's something coming, there's something really interesting, we're building this thing, take a look at this preview. And if I would have done that a little better, I think Black Friday would have landed a little bit better as well. Another thing that we learned, actually Nico and I learned together, is that podcast episodes are much better if you spend some time prepping them. So in the past, on podcast episodes where it's me teaching Nico something, or I have some experience in a topic and I'm telling him my experience, it goes much better for me if I make it maybe a page outline of things I'm going to talk about, and then maybe I write down a story that I want to talk about here, some analytics I want to share here. And what we found is that prep is very useful. If we take that prep and we do it to every episode, the podcast episodes are much better. A couple days ago, we did an episode without any prep, and it was really rough. It was rough on both of us because we didn't know what to talk about next. We didn't know transitions and stuff like that. So this is just a lesson that I learned last month that I'm going to keep in mind moving forward. Another lesson that I learned last month is there was on websites, you know how there's a drop-down menu? You hover over it and it drops down. And then you can put links in that drop down thing. I have 20 links in there. And I actually somehow there's 5 links in that drop down thing that didn't go anywhere. They went to this hashtag thing, which is it just shows the URL. It doesn't actually go anywhere. And so there's I need to check my menu links every now and then, just make sure there's no broken links. And they're not even broken links. They're just going to the home page with a little hashtag to it. So check your menu links. This is a reminder. Check your menu links. Make sure, and your footer links, make sure there's no missing links there. They're not going to weird places. Just make sure they're all going to the right place. This was just something that I learned last month because I checked my menu links and I was there's 5 links here that are going nowhere. And I really need to make them go to the page that they say they're going to. So I thought that was really interesting. Another thing that I learned last month is that lifestyle inflation is real. So in this year alone, I've been making a lot of money per month in comparison to what I was making 5 years ago. And the solution to this is to track everything. So 2 or 3 months ago, I started tracking everything. And when I say everything, I mean my weight, what I'm eating, how much, what I am doing during the day, where the money is going. Like at the end of the month, I go through all of our credit cards and bank accounts, and we literally like, this is food, this is gas, this is something we did for fun. And then you like sum those up and you'd be like, oh, we spent like $3,000 on fun stuff this month. We might need to lower that. And that is something that like I highly encourage everyone who's watching this video to do. If you don't know where your money's going, it's really easy for it to be like a ship with like a hole in it. And then like the money just keeps, like the water just keeps leaking. And the money, your finances will be that way too. So I highly encourage you to track everything. By tracking everything, I've got a spreadsheet of like what we spent in November. And I was like, whoa, we're spending a lot of money on eating out. Like that's probably demolishing our income goals, our retirement goals, as well as our fitness goals. And so just by noticing that, I'm like, if we just eat out less, it'll help us with both of these goals. So I highly encourage you to track everything. Another thing that I learned is that S-Corps can save tens of thousands of dollars if you set them up properly. So this is like not financial advice. This is something that I learned that I wish I knew this time last year. I probably could have saved $25,000, maybe $30,000 if I set up an S-Corp this time last year, but I didn't. And so if you wait past March 15th for the current year, it's really hard to set up an S-Corp. You can do it, but it's a hassle and it's kind of a gamble because you might not get accepted. Another thing to look into, if you're making past $70,000 a year in profit, you probably want to look into an S-Corp because it's definitely going to be able to save you some money. Again, this is not financial advice, and if you want to learn maybe a little bit more about an S-Corp, you can drop a comment below, and I would love to explain it, a little bit of what I've learned from paying for that $1,300 of consulting and training and stuff. Again, not financial advice, do your own research, but if I could go back, even if I could just go back and be like, yo, Theodore, a year ago, why don't you just look into this thing called an S-Corp? And if I would have done that, I would have saved literally 25 grand. Easy, like another 25 grand in my bank account. Finally, I want to share some lessons that I learned about backlinks. So as some of these links that I bought are coming in, this is what I have realized. Most paid links are crap. They're really bad. Like the pages they're coming from, really bad. Even ones I paid like $500 for one link, I look at the link and I go, that's a bad link. I should not have paid that money for it. Another thing that I thought was interesting is I've spent a bunch of money on Fiverr gigs, and I've spent a bunch of money on like big brand name like link building services. And some of these brand name services I spend $1,000 with, $2,000 with. And then these Fiverr gigs, they're over here $5, $10, $50. You know, you can do like the premium one and it's $200. Some of those are better than these brand name link building services. And so I have a case study coming soon where I share like, this is a Fiverr gig you probably want to buy. This is a link building service you want to avoid. I've put my money to the test. I found out which ones work, which ones don't, which ones I like, which ones I don't like. I'm going to be sharing both of those with you. So again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, I highly encourage you to click the subscribe button and the bell icon to be able to see some of those experiments and how that worked coming soon. One more thing before I end this video, I wanted to share some of my December goals so that next month I could look back and see if I accomplished them. So for Site 1, I want to continue content creation. So technically there is, so the writer, I'll just keep having them write for keywords. They'll just keep growing the site, I'll just keep giving them money, they'll keep giving me articles, and we'll both really appreciate that relationship. For images, technically I do have an artist last month that I was paying to create custom illustrations for me. Somehow the payment didn't go through in that month, so I probably need to pay them pretty soon for the work that they've done. We have it set up that I pay them so many images and then it's a certain amount. Somehow in November that didn't go through, so I'm probably going to owe them double in December. Anyways, for Site 1, I want to continue both those images and those new articles. For Site 2, I'm probably going to take a decent portion of the money that I made in November and spend it on new articles for the Pet Niche website, which it comes out on Hands Off Publishing, ends up being around $12,000. And that's probably what I'll do. I'll probably say, hey, I've got like 12 grand. Can you get me 300 articles? Even if it takes you 6 months, that's probably what I'm going to do for Site 2. For Site, and then this is also like a buy and wait thing. So I just send them money and then I just wait like a few months. For Site 3, as I mentioned earlier, let's see if I can go back to Site 3. I was denied, and then I finally was approved for a Zoic, and it's getting like 100 page views a month, even though I've spent $13,000 on it. So my goal for Site 3 is just to spend a couple days and figure out why it's not performing. Like, it's not really showing in Google results based on the Search Console data. It's not really getting page views. And I just want to find out, like, is it the keywords? Is it the niche? Is it something wrong with my site? I just want to see, like, how can I get that thing at least, like, starting in a new direction? And another goal that I have for this YouTube channel, this podcast, is DoubleCommaDreams, which would be 4 podcast episodes. Hopefully Nico and I are able to stick to that, 1 episode per week. And then from those 4 podcasts, I want to make 2 clips from each podcast. So that ends up being 8 total clips. And then I have 4 dedicated video ideas. So these are just videos that I thought would be interesting to have on the channel. Like when I 301 redirected one domain to another, I found it really difficult to look up tutorials on how to do that properly. Like there were some that did www, there were some that did non-HTTPS, and it was just really confusing. So I want to make some tutorials of things that I've learned and make these dedicated videos of me just walking through how to do something. And that's what these 4 videos are going to be. And finally, I want to do 2 case studies, which would be the Black Friday case study. I guess I should move over here so the mic is like closer. Black Friday case study, and then also the link building case study. So this ends up being 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Around 18 videos, which should hopefully grow DoubleCommaDreams. And then lastly, to stick in line with what I did in November, I didn't really lose weight. I just stayed the same. I'm going to work really hard on actually losing 5 pounds this month. So right now, this month, I weighed 201. This is like the first day of the month. And then by the very first day of the first year of 2023, I want to be 196. So if I can lose 5 pounds, I will be happy. I think these goals are going to be pretty easy to achieve. This is probably going to be the hardest goal. So that wraps up my goals. So as I end this video, I know how my previous income reports have done. People really seem to like them. They watch pretty mostly through the whole video, and then they drop a comment below. In this part of the video, I want to ask you, if you're new here or even if you're returning, I'd like for you to drop a comment below. I will say DoubleCommaDreams, this niche of like starting blogs and making money, digital products, podcasting, this is my favorite niche out there, and I intend to be completely transparent. Actually, this income report is a huge vulnerability for me. I'm sharing all the money I'm making. I'm sharing all the money I'm spending. I'm sharing data and stuff like that. I'm being completely vulnerable, and it's a little intimate, but I want that to be the case for this channel. I want to be very transparent in things that I'm learning, mistakes that I'm making, and that's like my whole goal with these income reports, is to be able to share some of that stuff so that if you're starting out, you can be inspired and maybe you can avoid the mistakes that I've made and learn some stuff. And so that's my goal with this channel, is to be completely transparent in the process of building some of these assets that I'm working on. And so if you have any questions about that, whether it be why did you spend $3 grand on domains, what's your decision about making a new website versus investing in another website that you already have, if you could go back, what would you do different about the Black Friday launch? Any question you have, leave it below. I will definitely read the comments and I'll definitely reply. As I end this video, I want to say I really appreciate you for watching all the way through it. If you have any questions, drop them below. If you like this video, please click the like button. And if you haven't already, I highly encourage you to click the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you can see those future case studies that I'm working on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.